What is going on, everybody? This is Mark 4 Martyr coming at you again for another video, another springtime mod series video. We are done finally with the intercooler install, and I am happy with everything, and everything looks good, everything's tightened down, ready to go, so it's time to move on to something else. Now that I have everything kind of torn apart, we're going to go ahead and move on to replacing the engine mounts on this car. So I've already done the dog bone transmission mount that mounts the engine to the subframe of the car that converts torque. I've replaced that with a urethane setup, so I'm not going to be doing that today. We're just going to be focusing on the engine and trans mounts themselves. So I'm going to be getting rid of the anchors, and I'm going to be replacing them with these Stage 1 mounts by Black Force Industries. These are pretty nice mounts. Real urethane, nice aluminum. I mean, really nice construction. They're about 180 bucks a pop, so they're kind of expensive, but it's going to be well worth it. I'm excited to put these things in and see how the car handles once it's all tightened up. Word of warning with these kind of mounts, and even just doing your urethane dog bone mount, is you are going to get some excess vibration in the cabin, and you kind of get used to it after a while. It's mostly at idle, so don't be alarmed if you go through, put these things, and all of a sudden your whole car's shaking. That's because it's, you know, these things aren't squishy and filled with fluid like the OEM mounts and allow for tons of movement and absorb all that vibrations. These are solid, meant to put power to the ground. So let's go ahead, turn around, and get to it and get these mounts installed. All right, guys. So we're gonna start over here on the passenger side of the, or driver's side of the car. This is the transmission mount, as you can see right there in front of me. First thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to support the engine from falling, because we are disconnecting the mounts. So over off to the side here, you can't see it's out of the shot, but I do have a jack underneath and pressed up against the transmission and ready to hold that for removal of the mount. Just remember that you don't want to push too far up. You just want to give it enough support to where it's not going to drop when you undo the two bolts there that hold the transmission to the mount. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts on this, and as you can see, I already have the airbox and all this stuff disconnected. So take the airbox out. We're going to take the battery out and the battery tray out as well. The battery isn't totally necessary to come out, but I took it out to get to some other things, so it's out of the way for right now. And then you're going to want to take the cover off of your wire loom here to access the bolt on the one side, and then there's a bolt hidden underneath the wires here on the side. So let's go ahead and get our tools, and we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, to get started, we're going to go ahead and remove the first 2 bolts here that connect to the trans. They are an 18 mil. They are probably going to be on there really good. So we're going to go ahead, and I'm just kind of doing them back and forth just to kind of evenly release this from the transmission. And at this point, we are pretty much free. The jack is now supporting the weight. So as you can see, we got these bolts out. They are torque to yields. Discard these. Do not reuse them. All right, so next we're going to go ahead and remove these 2 bolts that hold this mount to the frame, and then there's a 3rd bolt also behind here. These 2 bolts on either side are a, what are we using here? We are using a 16 mil. And again, you may need to use a cheater bar if they're in there pretty good. All right. Get that little guy out of there. And then we will go ahead and pull our mount. Once it's free, you just kind of got to wiggle it out. And there you have it. There's our old mount. Old hunk of crap. Made in China. You know, soft rubber. You know, real crappy. But we're going to go ahead and put that off to the side. And we'll get ready to do the reinstall. So here's our new mount. We're going to go ahead and put her in. And we're going to find our holes and line it up. So of course, new hardware. These are not torque to yield bolts. They're just regular old bolts. So The bigger ones are obviously going to go into the transmission. The smaller ones go into the body. So we'll go ahead and get these opened up. The washers also go to the transmission. But what we're going to do first is we're going to go ahead and secure the mount to the body first, and then we will secure it to the transmission. So we're going to do exactly, put it back in exactly the opposite way we took it out. Then we're going to grab our two that go into the trans. If you have to, you can always, move the trans up. It did come down a little bit after we released it. Okay, so we're going to give ourselves a little wiggle room with this. We want to start threading these in as easy as possible. So as you release it, it does tend to kind of want to rock backwards just a little bit. So I just kind of grabbed and pulled on the trans there just a little bit. All right, so the new ones going on looks like they are 19. At this point, they are going to require a ratchet because they just want to, like I said, and when we're going to do this too, we're going to do a few cranks on each one just to kind of start seating it in. As you can see, this one's a little easier to go in. And we're going to go back and forth just to kind of evenly tighten them up. So now at this point, we're going to go ahead and get our torque wrench out, and we're going to torque these to spec. I'm not sure exactly what the spec is, but I do have a book that we can go a manual do them. But basically, there's your installation of your transmission mount. Next, we're going to move over to the passenger side of the car and do the engine mount. It's pretty much the same process. There's just a few things that you have to get out of the way before we go ahead and do that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get my torque wrench. We're going to torque this down, and I'm going to set up, and we're going to go ahead and get over to the other side. All right, guys, we got the transmission mount torque to spec. Look those torque specs up. The bolts that go into the frame are 30 foot-pounds plus a 90-degree turn, and the ones that go into the trans are 44 foot-pounds plus a 90-degree turn. And it's going to be the same torque spec over here on the engine side as well. So we'll go ahead and get into this. This one's pretty much the same thing. You're going to want to put a jack underneath there. Being that this is on the oil pan, if you have one of those jacks that got the really hardcore teeth sticking out of it, you might want to put something like a 2x4 underneath. The jack I have has a nice flat cushy pad on it, so it should be fine putting that underneath the pan. Again, just putting light pressure on it, just enough to hold it in place while we go ahead and remove everything. So now what we're going to want to do is, the one thing that's in the way on this side is the power steering fluid reservoir, which we need to remove first. You'll see a little nut over here on the side. I'll try not to. And it is 10 mil. Once you get it out, it's just basically this stud looking thing. You can put that off to the side, and it is going to free our power steering box to kind of get it out of the way to remove this mount. And pretty much with this one, you just kind of, it's the same thing with over there with like the wire looms. You just kind of, you have to just move stuff out of the way in order to get to it. So we're going to go same process. We're going to go ahead and remove the bolts holding the mount to the motor, and then we're going to remove the bolts holding the mount to the frame. And then there's, of course, a third one holding to this bracket that we're also going to remove. Okay. This one we're gonna kind of have to work out. Took a little doing to get that one out, but we got her out of there. And this one is actually a fluid-filled mount. I know last time I originally had this off, it started leaking all over the place. And I mean, you can already tell this one's already starting to dry rot and crack out. All right. Now the hard part's done. We can go ahead and get our new mount and get her in place and ready to rock and roll. I already got this sucker set to the 44 pounds, plus a 90-degree turn on these. If you can get the 90 degree, that's always the fun part. So there's your 90, and then they want you to torque it a little more. And as you can see, it's good there. And then we got to back it down. And it's 30 foot-pounds for the bottom two. See, torque values are always important, especially when doing stuff like this. You know, any major engine work, stuff that's key to holding stuff together. All right. So at this point, we can go ahead and lower our jack. All right. So that's that. Basically, they give you, there's a stud that's there. I just ran the stud up through the bottom and took the nut that they gave me and put it on top and just tightened the two down, which holds your power steering reservoir back in place. And as of that, there you have it. Engine mount installed on that side, transmission mount installed on that side. I think total time for me to do this is about 45 minutes. All it takes is a jack, a couple sockets, a torque wrench, and you're good to go. All right, there you have it. There's the install on the mounts. Like I said, it's probably about a 45-minute install by myself, so it's really not that bad. Just throw a jack underneath there, get your sockets out. I think I probably spent more time looking for tools than I did actually working on the stupid thing. So as you can see, we got rid of these nasty mounts that they just look like crap, and I'm telling you, you can see, it's hard to see, but man, I wish you guys could see this. It's already dry rotted and cracked right in here. So who knows how long these would have lasted. So anyway, there you have it. There's the BFI Stage 1 engine and transmission mount install. Hope you have fun when you get to do yours and enjoy them just as much as I can. So thanks for watching. If you want to see more videos, click the subscribe button and keep an eye out. I've got a bunch more stuff I'm still doing to this car until springtime is in full swing and we're ready to take her out for a drive. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.